YouTube, I'm the Calcar131, and this is my review of the Olight Odin weapon light. So, the Olight Odin, as of the recording of this video, late 2020, the Olight Odin is Olight's only purpose-built long gun light. Yes, they have their PL Pro and their PL Minis and the weapon lights that are made for pistols. Yes, they have their, just standard handheld lights that you can put in a ring mount and you can push into the use of a long gun light. But this is the only real, like I said, dedicated long gun lights. Like their version of a scout light, basically. The Surefire scout lights and all of the competitors therein. This is Olight's competitor to it. So for the quick overview, I went ahead and retreated inside, considering how cold it is outside. As you can see, we're going to go front to back, but there used to be some relatively nice, sharp little crenellations here. However, after some of the drop testing I did, they're pretty much ground down. But the lens here is a PMMA lens, which as I understand it is just acrylic. And as you can see, there is a little ding here and there. There's some of this adhesive left over from whenever I had a Thyrum Cleanse lens protector on it. But moving back from here, I don't know what kind of LED is in it. I can't find on the website where it says, but going back across most of the entire body, there isn't really a whole lot of markings. I'm pretty happy to say Olight and Odin, that's all it says. So the markings aren't like real big and glaring and making it really obnoxious, but moving back here, this is where it interfaces with the mount, which I'll get to here in a minute. As you can see, it is also drilled and tapped for your standard scout mounts. So Arasaka, BCM, I think they make one, Haley Strategic, Cloud Defensive, all of your standard Surefire scout mounts will thread directly into here. So it is running off of a 5,000 milliamp 21700 battery, basically just a beefed up 18650. That's all it really is. So moving back here to the tail cap, there's these three small little teeth. You can stand up on your tail cap if you really wanted to. I assume those also are meant mainly to interface with the tape switch, which again I'll go over here in a second. But it is magnetic. It uses the kind of ubiquitous by now magnetic tail cap chargers from Olight. The actual operation of it I do really like. So it has a gas pedal style. So if you just give it a half press, you get low-mo, that's 300 lumens. And that's really good for if you remove it from your rifle and you're using it for some kind of administrative task where there's not a whole lot of stress or anything. You just need a little bit of light. Lightly press it, you get a little bit. However, if you're in a stressful situation, you have this mounted up and you don't have the pressure switch on it, you just press it right in because you fight or fly, adrenaline, whatever. All the way in and it gets you your 2000 lumens. Hold it in, momentary, click it in, stays on. So I really like that tail cap switch. And as you can see, that ring right there is what interfaces with this. These small little ball bearings almost in there, they work with this locking collar. It was a lot more smooth before I dropped it. But you just put it on here, push this forward, and it locks in place. I don't know how well it'll come across on video, but I am pulling on this and it does not come off. It is magnetic, but thankfully Olight registered that if this is even going to be semi-serious use, they need to make it more than just strictly magnetic, which is what their last pressure switch was. So yeah, the ball bearings, when you push this forward, that just locks them in place. So yeah, snap that on, push it in. Operation is the same. Long press, quick press is momentary, or quick press is constant rather. Long press is momentary. Now, we'll go over the mount. The mount simply slides right in, and it locks in place. This is one of the issues that I have with the mount. There's a little bit of a rock in it, a little bit of give. Not that much really, but there's a little bit. It does stay in place. When you want to remove it, push this in. You can remove it. It does mount on the other side too, same way. Push it in. It's reversible, so whichever way you want to mount it up. Now, if you want to have an extra layer of protection when you mount this up, put it on, twist that to lock, and you can't push it in. So it isn't coming out this way. All right, so the target you're seeing down there is roughly 20 yards away, give or take 20. And the beam you're seeing right now is the Olight Odin on high mode. Switch it over to low real quick. Half press gives you a low. Press all the way in, gives you high. That's the 2000 lumen with roughly 22,000 candela of the Olight Odin. Now running beside it, this is the Modlight PLH V2. So as you can pretty clearly tell, the Modlight over here has much more candela. You can see the hotspot from the Modlight just going all the way through the Odin, but most of its power, really, I guess you could say, is just in that one hotspot. I mean, yeah, it does have spill, but I mean, comparing this Modlight PLH V2 against the Odin, it doesn't have quite as intense a hotspot. It's still intense enough that I can clearly make out the target, but it seems like the spill is a bit brighter. Once again, this is the Odin, and one more light I want to compare it to, one more weapon light, is the M600 dual fuel from Surefire. So we have the two of them here. You can tell very clearly the Odin over here is much more intense. Just comparing the two, the 2000 lumens and 22,000 candela of the Odin on the left very clearly beats out this M600 dual fuel with its 1500 lumens with an 18650, and Surefire doesn't post the candela, but the number I've seen is around 16,000 candela. That seems to make sense, with the Odin being just a little bit more intense. All right, so I can test some of the long-range characteristics, I guess you could say, of the Olight Odin. That is what you're seeing right now, full power. Half press, you can get the low power mode. It doesn't really give anything for long range. On the camera, you can't even tell that there's really a person out there. Full power though, oh yeah, you can tell there's a person. I can see an outline, I can kind of sort of see the details of the shirt he's wearing. If I didn't know the target is holding a gun, I don't know if I'd be able to. It's also almost 100 yards away, give or take like 10 yards to 100 yards away. And identifying a gun versus like a phone or anything else that he might be holding in his hand is kind of hard, even at 100 yards. Just for a comparison, let's roll in the Modlight PLH V2. Modlight coming in. You can tell in real life, and I think it comes across pretty well in the video, the extra candela of the Modlight is, I mean, it's just clear. I can see the target quite a bit more clearly, but at the same time, the Modlight has, 54,000 candela versus the Odin with its 23,000, I want to say, something like that. cutting the two back and forth, there is not as much of a difference as you might think. Like, I'm not sure if it has anything to do with the temperature difference, and I'm pretty sure the Odin now is starting to ramp down because the head's getting pretty hot. Holding in my hand, I can tell. But cutting back and forth in real life, the mod light only seems a little bit brighter. It doesn't seem that much brighter. And I've heard some companies say that when they use this brighter or this warmer tone, you can see it's more of a yellow tone versus the more cool white of the mod light. Companies have claimed that kind of helps with identification, and it might be that, but you know, for having less than half the candela of the mod light, in real life, for having less than half of the candela rating of the mod light, the Odin strangely does a really good job. It doesn't, in real life, it's a bit brighter, but not all that much. All right, now this light that you're seeing right here, this is the Surefire M600 dual fuel, 1500 lumens. What is it? They don't give a rating, like I think I've said before, but like 16,000-ish candela. In person, you can't, I can tell an outline of the target. I can't really identify much about him though. I can tell, I mean, it's a person, but I can barely even identify like what kind of clothing they'd be wearing. Now cut that in, the Odin, much more clear. Cut the Odin out. M600, the Odin's coming in very clearly, a lot brighter, much more downrange identification capabilities. All right, make sure that's tightened down so I'm not cheating it. You can see it's working. So, this koi pond goes down to, at its deepest, right in the center, it goes down to about 3.5 feet. Pretty far off the quoted IPX8, which is what this is. It's IPX8, so should be IPX8. Over 1 meter for 30 minutes, something like that. I'll annotate it in exactly what it is, I forget. Or it's an hour at 33 feet, I don't know. But it should be well over 3.5 feet. So I have it just tied up to a pole here, once again. You can see it's working. So, alright, it's 4:30. It was a little after 3 when I threw it in. So it's been an hour 15, hour and a half, something like that. And moment of truth. Did it survive? Hopefully that's been framed. Yeah. I figured it would. So now we come to durability. So, as you saw in the, like I said, the overview portion, this thing has seen some shit. It's gotten quite a bit of damage done onto it. And despite all of it, I mean, it still works, despite everything. So I did the standard, you know, drop testing. I didn't make sure to drop test it with the mount that it comes with, this Olight, kind of like a quick detach mount. And it's an unknown. So it is drilled and tapped for the Scout mounts. And that's a good thing. You know, the Scout mounts, they're a known commodity. Everyone knows how good they are, how solid they are. At the very least, you can get solid and reliable Scout mounts that are well vetted. This mount, on the other hand, was an unknown. I had no idea how good it was going to be. So I did some drop testing on that, on the mount, and it held up fine. I did standards drop testing of the light in general. I did a Traxxas test on it, which you should be seeing also right now. The Traxxas test is a pretty straightforward test. I take my Traxxas Stampede, like a hobby grade RC truck, tether up whatever I'm testing behind it, and I drive it up and down some a gravel range or a concrete lot or anything like that. Anywhere that there's going to be a lot of bangs and dents and a fair bit of damage done to whatever I'm reviewing. So it survived all of that. It survived the standard testing that I would really expect it to. However, as you can see, there's a little bit of extra damage done to this that would not be done from rocks or drop testing. Let's check that out. Alright, so my final test on the Olight Odin here. This last test goes out to my main man, Rubviously, on Instagram. See, Rubviously and I happened to get into it's just a quick couple messages sent back and forth on a comment section somewhere. But we were talking about Olights. I said, most of the ones I've had aren't too bad, you know? And he commented something along the lines of the Olight Odin specifically, but can it stand up to Birdshot? Well, I mean, I am reviewing one, so I'll test it for you. So this test goes out to Rubviously. Hope you're watching this, bud. So the Olight Odin versus Birdshot. Let's be clear, this has survived everything I would expect it to. I think it's kind of extreme to expect a flashlight to stand up to Birdshot, like an actual round from a gun. So let's be clear about that. I think this has already surpassed everything I would expect it to. Now, I'm going to be 7 yards away, 3-inch, 7.5 shot Birdshot. However, Rubviously, I'm sorry, it's not going to be 12 gauge. I don't have a 12 gauge. I know that's kind of blasphemous. What kind of gun guy doesn't have a 12 gauge? Well, I don't. Hey. So it's going to be a 410. Yes, I'm sorry, it's not nearly as powerful as a 12 gauge, but it's what I got. So it's old 410 here. Winchester Super X, 7.5 shot Birdshot. 7 yards away, we will see how the Olight Odin holds up. I really don't want to destroy this flashlight, but I gotta do it for Rubviously. All right, Rubviously. Oh dear. You might have caused me to destroy my precious Olight Odin. So let me get around so I can make sure it's in focus here. I tried to hit up here, but it's a really old gun, so I don't know exactly where it was going to hit. But as you can see, there's some pretty good dings down here, a couple of them. So here is the big test. Is it going to work? Son of a bitch. Pros and cons for the Olight Odin. Pros, I like the beam. I like the fact that the hot spot is a bit brighter than like the mod light that I compared it to. I really like the fact that somehow, despite the fact that it has less than half the candela of the mod light, in person it just does a really good job at illuminating targets. Durability, I'm gonna say it. I love how durable this thing is. This has held up to above and beyond anything that I could ever expect a weapon light to hold up to, you know? Now granted, the Birdshot, Rubviously, I'm sorry, it was only 410, and it did hit low. It's an old shotgun, I forgot exactly where it hit. I don't shoot it much, it's my excuses. But even so, it held up to it. Everything I put this thing through, it's still holding up. I love how durable this thing is, especially again for the price. I also really like the quick detach, I guess is what I'm going to call it, the quick detach nature of this. You know, you could have this mounted up on a rifle and in seconds have this completely off the rifle. Just pull this off, twist, push, done. I like how they're kind of doing that. Like I said, modular, quick detach sort of idea for it. So like I said, the modular sort of aspect of this light leads me very well into what I do not like about it. The tape switch, pressure pad, whatever, the entire assembly. So, to be clear, I don't not like it. And this is really sort of a nitpicky thing, but the fact that I commend Olight, or whoever gave them the idea for it, to upgrade their previous pressure pad tape switch assembly to have active retention. Once again, you can't really tell in the video, but I'm pulling on this pretty hard and it does not come off. However, the simple fact that it just pushes straight forward means I could see a problem occurring if you were, say, a civilian using this to sweep your house for whatever reason, whatever the situation might be. If you were a cop that chose to use this and you were, again, clearing a building, if you ran this into a wall, this just has to push straight back. If you happen to hit a doorway moving forward, it could easily pop this off. Maybe it'll just kind of cant it sideways, who knows. So I don't like the fact that it's just a simple push straight forward. Also going in tune with that quick detached aspects that I don't really like is this little locking lever right here. There has been more than once. I've had it on the locked position. I went to check it and it'd be kind of just halfway like that. Now again, a nitpicky thing, because even in the unlocked position, it's not going to move. However, I feel like if they're going to include that locking lever, I guess, I wish they would put a slightly stiffer, like a detent in it, whatever holds it in place, because it just seems like it's not super stiff, and it would be nicer if it was, so when you had it in that locked position, you know it's not going to move. Last thing that's, again, a nitpicky thing. All my cons are nitpicky about this, but I don't like the step downs for it. You should be seeing right here the step down chart for this light. This is a problem that any modern high output light is going to have. You cannot have output as bright as modern lights do for long, unless the company is just okay with the flashlight or the light cooking itself or catching on fire. There has to be step downs to protect it from the heat. And I get that. However, in the beam comparison, it did seem to me that this heated up quicker than the mod light. So, final thoughts. The Olight Odin, I really like it. As I said, all the cons that I had for this really are nitpicks. I don't have any serious issues with this light at all. And moving forward, if I ever need just a general purpose light, I'm probably going to get an Odin. So, if you're looking for a damn rugged and reliable long gun light that will not break the bank, I would highly recommend you check out the Olight Odin. I'm Knockout Car 131, signing off.